Hey everyone, welcome to DK TV. I'm Wade McElwain, your DK Sports Ambassador. We are talking UFC 202. That's right, you get 5 fighters, $50,000 budget. Who's on your team? Who are you going to draft? I've got Zach Sold here, DK. He from the US. He is our UFC aficionado. I got Mike Payne over here, fighter as well, and then we've got Nick Webb, who's also our UFC commentator. Now, UFC 202, everyone's talking Conor McGregor. Hey, is he going to win? Is he going to lose? But what about all the other fighters on the fight card this upcoming weekend? I'm going to ask these guys, who's on your list? Who have you drafted for your DraftKings lineup? And they're going to tell me why. Let's start out with Zach. Who is your first fighter and why? So
my first fighter I went with is a contrarian pick, Nate Diaz. Like we were just talking about, I think that this rematch is going to play out very similar to the first fight. I think Nate has the ability to dictate where the fight goes. So if he wants to stand and trade, he has the ability to do that. If he wants to take it to the ground, he's the bigger, stronger fighter who's works really well out of the clinch. I think he can do that as well. Conor's really worked hard in his training camp on cardio and on his fitness for this fight, and I think that it's going to wear on a little bit longer. But again, I think it's going to get into the championship rounds, and Nate is going to get that. He's going to get that finish in the fourth. My next fighter is Raquel Pennington.
Well, I'll move on to your next one. We'll move on to his. We'll do one at a time. We'll walk on a Payne. Let's go on to Mike Payne.
I'm the same as Zach. I think Diaz has got this. I don't believe the hype of McGregor. I think it comes down to basic biology. I don't really think that, in my opinion, that Conor McGregor's got the size. I think he's obviously putting on muscle, which he needs to obviously get to that weight, but I think that's a big jump. That's a good 20-odd pounds. I can't see it happening. So, Diaz.
And how about you? Who's your first pick there, Nick Webb?
Mine was Conor. No, it's Diaz. It's Diaz. Owen Diaz for the same reasons. I've seen this fight before, and I know how it ended. And it's going to be the same fight.
PVR'd it pretty much.
Yeah, I've seen this fight. I know it's not till Saturday, but I saw it, and I don't see it happening any other way. So I've got Diaz again. So on all 3 Diaz.
It's actually going to be all 4 for Diaz, because I'm actually going to agree with you guys on that one. I think he's been a little Matthew McConaughey in his Hollywood weight up and down. I'm going to win me an Oscar. You know what? You're a fighter. Just focus on fighting and focus on the one fight. All right, let's move on to fighter number 2. Who's your second pick in your lineup? Zach, who do you got your second pick?
So I actually went with Anthony Johnson in his matchup against Glover Teixeira. I think of all the fighters on the card with potential for the first-round knockout, it's going to be Anthony Johnson. As you guys know, a first-round knockout is a 100-point bonus on DraftKings. So when you're drafting your teams, you want to sort of err on the side of those who go for finishes, those who have a higher finish rate, and less on the side of people who fight cautiously and maybe have takedowns and stay in guard for a long time. Johnson has first-round knockout potential in any fight that he's in. And I think Glover Teixeira is going to have a really hard time dealing with his power and his explosiveness. Johnson's going to go out there and start swinging, and I think Glover is going to be outmatched a little bit on the feet and again, like we mentioned before, Johnson's takedown defense is among the best in the UFC. So if Glover gets a little rattled and tries to take him down, it's not going to happen, and Johnson's just going to pick up that finish eventually. So I think he's an expensive pick, but a wise pick in terms of the fact that if you're going to try and lock up a team that's going to go for finishes, Johnson's your guy.
Mm-hmm. All right, Mike Payne, second one.
Totally agree with Zach. This for me was Johnson's one of my favourite fighters, massive one of my favourite fighters, but this is definitely a tactical one, as a few of my picks have. First round knockout. 2-minute 45.
All right. You gonna be that exact, Nick, in your pick?
Yeah, I'm not going to be quite as precise, if you don't mind, Mr. Payne. I've got Tim Means as my second choice, Dirty Bird. He's had a late game change. He's meant to be fighting Sean Strickland, which would have been an amazing fight.
That would have been
good. But now he's got Saban Hasmazi, and I think it's too late. I don't think Hamasi's got what it takes, even if he had a full camp, and I know that Tim Means completed his camp training for Sean Strickland, which means he's going to be the best of the best of the best. And I think he's going to get me 100 points with a round 1 finish.
Whoa, 100 points. Now we're throwing predictions.
2 minutes 56.
Oh my gosh, up and in by 11 seconds.
We're doing it to the second. 2 minutes 56.
My second fighter is Neil Magny, 10,500. I think he's probably the best pound for pound at 170. This guy, he's won 10 of his last 11, including that TKO over Hector Lombard. I've got him down. I think he's a good value at 10,500. He's my second pick. Zach, third pick. Who do you got?
So for my third pick, I went with Raquel Pennington. I think she's slightly underpriced at, $9,200. I think
yep.
that's where you can make up a lot of ground to pick your Neil Magny's, who are favorites, or your Anthony Johnsons, who are also favorites. I think she's a great pick at that price. Like we mentioned, her opponent is Phillips.
Yep.
Her opponent is also a really, really aggressive fighter who likes to go in there and swing. But Raquel Pennington really moves well from her significant strikes into her takedowns. I think that's where she's going to rack up the points. She's long and rangy, and she's going to throw strikes that are going to land, and then change levels, take her opponent down. I hope she gets the finish. I don't think she's a guarantee for that by any means. It's a very evenly matched fight, but I think she's definitely going to get the win by unanimous decision at least, and that'll pick up enough bonus points to make her well worth the $9,200 price tag.
Yeah, Will. If it goes the distance, that's a lot of points there. Mike, who you got your third fighter?
Third fighter, I'm going Cowboy Cerrone.
Cerrone,
Again, another one of my favourite fighters. I followed him from the very first time he joined the UFC. I think he's a points gainer massively. I think you might get your 100 point first round knockout, or it might go the distance. For me, that's he's going to win points for me.
All right. Third fighter for you then, Nick.
Well, Zach, this was my money saver, mate. This is mine. I went for Glover Teixeira. He was really cheap against Johnson, and yeah, Johnson has the potential all the time, but I really think Johnson could overstay his welcome, and then he's just a standing, exhausted target for 15 minutes of Glover Teixeira punching him in the face for points. And it said I had to be conservative at some point, and I thought Glover was a bargain for the only 8K mark. So Glover Teixeira against Johnson, I took Glover.
Nice. My third pick is Marvin Vettori. He is going against Alberto Uda in one of the undercards, 10,600. But Vettori is 8,600, and he's 10 years younger. This guy can punch. He has won a lot, mostly by stoppage. Only two losses by decision. Vettori, 8,800. I think he's actually a good value, so I'll take him as my third. Zach, your fourth pick.
Moving right down the card to the Fight Pass prelims, I took Neil Magny. This is a contender for fight of the night for sure. Magny versus Lorenz Larkin. I really like both of these fighters. Magny, as Wade pointed out before, is really consistent, really technical, a long, rangy welterweight who does not get dragged into a brawl. He's too smart for that. Lorenz Larkin, on the other hand, is a very flashy striker. His kicks are excellent. His takedown defense is strong. But I think Magny is just going to be too technical for him and is going to keep him at range and keep him away and batter his legs with leg kicks, flick his jab out for some significant strikes, and if he needs to, he'll get him to the ground. Magny's a pretty high price tag, but I think he's a pretty much guarantee for a victory here. Despite the fact that Lorenz Larkin is always, a possibility for a knockout, I think it's going to take a lot more sort of savviness from Larkin to get Magny into a place where he can land his strikes. And I think Magny is just too technical. The only loss he has in his last 10 fights is to Damian Maia, who just stifled him on the ground. And obviously Larkin does not have the ability to do that. So I think short of that, there's a really good chance Magny picks out a finish in the later rounds. Larkin tends to tire out a little bit, or it goes the distance for a unanimous decision.
All right, let's go to your fourth pick.
Fourth pick, Cody Garbrandt. New young fighter, old versus new with this one. I did say second round, but I'm more swayed towards the first round, 100 points.
Wishful thinking.
Yeah, absolutely. But no, I love him. I think he's a great fighter. I think he's one of the up-and-coming fighters. So I've gone with him really more for a personal perception rather than a points thing. But I think if I get the first round knockout, that's 100 points to me. Thank you very much.
All right. Who do you got in your fourth then?
They call me Cowboy, baby. Yes, I went with Donald
Rock?
Cerrone.
Oh.
Just walk out music.
I was going to say.
Yeah, I went
gosh.
with Kid Rock. He's going to get me some points. Now, I went with Donald Cerrone because I couldn't afford Neil Magny, unfortunately, and I think Cerrone was 800 cheaper. So, but I like Cerrone again. He's great to watch as well. I mean, as a fan, you know it's not going to be a boring fight, and Cerrone's got the output as well. I think he's going to get the work done, and if he doesn't get the finish, the significant strikes are going to make up for it. I think if he doesn't manage to finish him first, second, or third, the points I'll get will more than make up for that.
Nice. My fourth pick is going to be Lim. 11,100 versus Mike Perry. I'm not going to try to attempt his first name because I'm not that good at pronunciation. Well, I do know is Perry's a last-minute replacement. Lim has got a longer reach. Perry's going to be wild, and I'm thinking Lim's going to knock him out in the first round. 100 points. Fifth pick, who's your last guy?
Similar to Mike's fourth pick, I went Cody Garbrandt as well. I really like this kid. One of my favorite fighters in the UFC right now. He's coming off the biggest win of his career and the best performance of his career, quite frankly, against Thomas Almeida, who was equally as hot prospect at the time. He put on an extremely technical striking match with Almeida, who was favored on the feet and favored to win the fight. I think his confidence has got to be sky high. He's been in the spotlight before because his last fight was a headline. And I just really like him against Mizugaki. Mizugaki is a real hard-nosed veteran. He's been in there with some of the best bantamweights in the world. He lost to Dominic Cruz, which is, there's no shame in that. But he was also just completely outclassed. He seems outclassed when he gets up into the higher echelon of the division. He really hasn't proven that he deserves to be a top 5 guy. And I think Cody is going to come out and impress again. He's going to land a lot of strikes. I would love to see him pick up the finish. Mizugaki loves to just go in there and wing power punches in the pocket, and I think that Cody's just going to be too technical for him. He's going to move his head off the line, and he's going to land the big punch to put Mizugaki down. Hopefully, he follows it up for some ground and pound finish, and then he'll get that fight bonus that he needs for the DraftKings lineup.
Boom, there we go. Final pick. Who you got there, Mike Payne?
I've gone with Raquel Pennington. Probably because I couldn't afford Tim Means. And secondly, I believe in a little bit of equality. Put a female in there as well. She's gone the distance a few times, as obviously Phillips has. I think that's a point scorer for me. To be honest, if you go the distance, I think she'll end up winning it. But that was a tactical point scorer. Plus, I like a tattoo, so you got to go with her anyway.
Yeah. when logic fails,
There you go.
absolutely. Gut instinct.
This is absolutely.
Pick Nick Webb. Who do you got?
I'm copying Zach on this. I went for Cody Garbrandt as well. I like him against Takeya Mizugaki. Mizugaki, right? He hasn't broken in the top 10 realistically. Cody is coming off a brilliant win of Thomas Almeida. That was a great fight. And as you say, the lights don't affect him. So I've got it all Cody Garbrandt. I'm afraid it's going to be a very, very short night for Mizugaki. And that's my 5th pick.
And my 5th pick is Garbrandt as well. Oh my gosh, we chose all the same things. No, I just agree all the same thing you guys as well. I think it's just going to be a quick and easy fight, and I like Garbrandt for that. All right, let's recap all of our lineups so we can. We'll bring up Mike's first. We got Diaz, Johnson, Cerrone, Garbrandt, and Pennington. Then Nick's lineup. We got Diaz, Mean, Cerrone, Garbrandt, and Teixeira. Then mine, Wade's. We got Diaz, Magny, Vettori, Lim, and Garbrandt. A lot of familiar names. And Zach's lineup. Diaz, Magny, Pennington, Garbrandt, and Johnson. Wow, we made a lot of our similar picks. How are you guys going to make yours? You do it. You go to DraftKings. You put together your 5-man lineup. $50,000 which to draft with. You put together the best lineup. You could win big, including on our Haymaker Special, $125,000. It's just that easy. You could win big. Welcome to the big time. That's welcome to the big time. Did I just spray that last one out? Because I'm so excited. UFC 202. Welcome to the big time.